Namaste. Today I'm going to tell you about the cash book in accountancy. Now, cash book is basically a special purpose subsidiary book, or you can say it's a journal in which only the cash receipts and cash payments are recorded. So it is actually related to cash transactions only. Now, the kinds of cash books we have are simple cash book, in which only the cash transactions are recorded and it is one column only. Then comes the double column cash book, in which both the cash and the bank transactions are recorded. Then there is a petty cash book. Petty means small. So only small amount of cash transactions are recorded. There are few points to be kept in mind before making any of the cash book. Only cash and bank transactions are recorded in the cash book. Other than that, it is not recorded in the cash book. Other than that means it does not record any discount received, discount allowed, credit or debit transactions. Okay. The transactions in which we are taking or giving cash are the ones which are recorded in the cash book. Now, the cash book will never have a credit balance. The logic behind it, because the cash paid cannot be more than the cash in hand. Cash account is an asset account, so it will dance or it will debit when it has walked into the party, it has increased in number, alright, and it will cry credit when there is decrease in the cash, alright, it has walked out of the party. This crying and dancing thing you can find in my previous video. Now, the most important part is the transactions which have the word cash and the party name, and the student gets confused whether we should record it in the cash book or we should make a journal entry for it. So to solve such entries, there is a simple tip. Okay, it says if there is a word cash mentioned in any of the transaction, all right, you take it as a cash transaction, you record it into the cash book. If there is a cash word and the name of the third party, let's suppose company name or debtor name or person name is mentioned along with the word cash, you will again consider it as a cash transaction and record it into a cash book. But if there is no word cash mentioned in any of the transaction, just take it as a credit transaction. Alright. So the tip is, if there is a word cash mentioned in any of the transaction, consider it as a cash book entry. If the word cash is missing, only a name is mentioned of a third person, then take it as a credit transaction or debit transaction, whichever way. Now let's take an example of single column cash book. Now there are transaction mentioned here. Cash in hand is rupees 25,000. Deposit cash into bank 20,000. Paid check to creditors 49,400 after deducting cash discount of 600 rupees. Paid wages in cash 5,000. Cash sales of rupees 1 lakh, of which banked on 11th April was 75,000 only. Purchased goods on credit from ABC Limited 15,000. Now how to make a cash book from all these transactions? First, we'll make a simple cash book where we'll have a debit column and a credit column. Okay, so there is date mentioned, particulars, ledger folio if there is mentioned, and then the rupees. On the credit side, same, date mentioned, particulars, ledger folio and the rupees. The first entry is cash in hand 25,000. Cash is an asset, it will be dancing because it has walked into the party, so it will be on the debit side. My balance of cash book, to balance brought down 25,000, will be on the debit side. Now next entry is deposited cash into bank 20,000. Now this 20,000 has gone into the bank. Now we are making a single entry cash book, so we have to think about cash only. So my cash has walked out of the party because I have given cash to bank. Alright, so my cash book, the bank will be on the credit side. In other words, under my cash book, my cash is crying because it has gone out of the party, it has gone to the bank. So it will be on the credit side. This 20,000 will be on the credit side of cash book. Okay. Then paid check to creditor of rupees 49,400 after deducting cash discount of rupees 600. Now I have paid check. Check means bank is involved. Here we are just dealing with a single column cash book. So this transaction will not be recorded. Next comes paid wages in cash, rupees 5,000. I have paid cash. My cash is crying. Okay. And it will be on the credit side. So my cash book, cash will be on the credit side. By wages 5,000 rupees. Okay. Cash sales of rupees 1 lakh, of which banked on 11th April rupees 75,000. Now I have made a cash sales on 9th of April, but I have banked 75,000 on 11th of April. So I will make two transactions. One is for the 9th. Now to sales account. My cash has walked in. I have made sales. I have received cash of rupees 1 lakh. So my cash has walked in. Cash is dancing. It will be on the debit side. From where? To sales. 1 lakh rupees. Okay. And I have banked the 75,000 out of this on 11th April. So on 11th April, my cash will be crying because it is going out of the party. It is going to the bank. So by bank 75,000. Cash on the credit side 75,000. Alright. Then purchase goods on credit from ABC Limited. Now here again there is no cash dealing. It is all on credit. We are not going to record this in our cash book, as I told you before in the points. So my balance, I will total this. It will be 1,25,000. I will total this. It will be 1 lakh. So 25,000 is my 1,25,000 minus 1 lakh. 25,000 is my balancing figure. Now we will talk about the double column cash book. Double column means it will have a cash column also and bank column also on both the sides, debit side and the credit side. Okay. Now there are few points which again you need to keep in mind before making a double column cash book. Now both cash and bank transactions are recorded in this double column. Cash column will never be having a credit balance. Okay. But bank column can have a credit balance. Why? Because when we are dealing with the bank, they give us a overdraft facility also. That is, we can borrow money from the bank and it's like a liability for us. So it's an overdraft. We don't have that much balance, but we can take more money from the bank, and that is called the overdraft facility. Like cash account, bank account is also an asset account. Okay. So it will debit, it will dance when there is an increase in the bank account. It will cry, it will credit when there is decrease in the bank account. Now when a transaction involves both cash and bank, alright, suppose I have deposited cash into the bank. My bank is also affected, bank account, cash account is also affected. Such entries are called contra entries. Alright, cash deposited into bank. Bank will be dancing because it has received cash. Cash will be crying. Alright, contra entry. Cash withdrawn from bank. Cash will be dancing because it is now increased. It has come into the party. Bank account will cry because it has gone out. It has become less. Against such entries, letter C is written in ledger folio column, okay, which indicates contra entry. So whenever bank and cash both are involved, we write C to denote that yes, this is a contra entry. Now, the most important thing is checks in hand. Whenever a check is received and deposited into the bank on same day, suppose I have received a check from Suresh and I have deposited the same check in my bank account also on the same day. So the entry will be bank account debit to Suresh account. My bank account has increased. It is an asset. It is dancing. It is walked into the party. So it is on the debit side. From where? To Suresh account. Now check is received from Suresh but not deposited into bank on same day. Alright, my check is there. It is an asset now for me. It is in my hand. I am dancing. So check in hand account will be on the debit side. From where I have got this check? To Suresh. Now next what I have done? That check which was in my hand, I have now deposited that into my bank account. Same thing, bank account will start dancing now because it has increased. It's an asset. To check in hand account. Why not Suresh? Because we have already taken it from Suresh. We are not going to do it again. So it was my check in hand which is now going out of my hand into my bank account. So my bank account will be debit. My checks in hand account will be now crying because it is going out of my hands. Alright? Note, very very important. If no information is given on the deposit date of the check, we assume that it is received and deposited on the same day. The entry will be bank account debit to Suresh account. Now important thing is dishonor of the check. Now what do you mean by dishonor? Dishonor means the amount is not collected against the check which we have deposited in our bank. We assumed that it will be, the money will come, but it has not come. It has been dishonored. That bill, that check is dishonored by the party. Alright. When the check is deposited, we assume that we will get the money in our bank account. That is the logic. That's why we made bank account on the debit side and Suresh account on the credit side. Now this money is not received. This entry was to be made when I was assuming that my bank will be increased by the money from the check given by Suresh. Now this money has not come in. So I will reverse this entry. Alright. So my entry will be Suresh account to bank account. Again, the crying concept says bank will cry because it has not increased. Nothing has happened to it. It will cry. It has not received the money. It's an asset account. Okay. In case discount allowed was done, in such case, okay, then after dishonor of the check, such discount allowed will be cancelled. Why we will give the discount to a person who has not honored our payment? Suppose at the time of discount allowed, I have given discount to Suresh. I made an entry discount allowed account debit to Suresh. Why? Because discount allowed is my expense. It's a part of nominal account. It's a crazy account. It works in an opposite manner. So it will start dancing. That's why it's on the debit side to Suresh. Okay. Now when my payment was not honored by Suresh, I will cancel this discount allowed. I will just simply reverse this entry and will say Suresh account debit opposite to discount allowed credit. Okay. Now at the time of endorsement to a third person of the check, bank account is not involved. What do you mean by endorsement? Endorsement means I have taken this check from Suresh and I have now given it further to Pawan. Okay. I say I had to make some payment to Pawan. Rather than making payment to him, I have taken this check from Suresh and given it to Pawan. So this is called endorsement to a third party. Third party here is Pawan. Alright. Example is a check of rupees 10,000 received from T is endorsed to C. Now bank is not involved. Alright. So C will be dancing because C is a personal account. He has received it. He is happy. He is dancing. T has given the check. He is crying. It is going out. Alright. So debit the receiver, credit the giver. So T is the giver, he is crying. C account debit to T account. Now students ask me that ma'am, in this example a check is involved. That means a bank is involved. How can you say that at the time of endorsement bank account is not involved? Okay, I'll explain you why. See, when a check of rupees 10,000 was received from T, I made an entry of bank account debit to T account. Alright. Now I have to make some payment to C also. Suppose I have made this through a check to C also. So C account will be debit, C will be dancing, he has received my check, and my bank account will be crying. It will be on the credit side. Now if I add these two entries, 1 and 2, okay, 1 plus 2 is equal to this third entry. How? Bank account debit, C account debit, T account credit, bank account credit. Same amount, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000. Bank is on the debit side also, bank is on the credit side also. I will cross these two entries. What I'll get is C account debit to T account. This is what I've got here when I was endorsing the check. I have tried to club major points of this particular chapter cash book in this one example. Okay, so just concentrate on this example. Now example says prepare a double column cash book from the following transactions. There is a date given and there are transactions and amount both are given. I have cash in hand rupees 20,000, bank OD overdraft rupees 10,000. Now further introduced rupees 50,000 as capital, out of which rupees 35,000 was deposited into bank. This is the capital which I have introduced into my business, and out of this 35,000 I have deposited into bank. Now received from Manohar on behalf of Ram rupees 600. Okay, cashed a check for rupees 3,000. Received a check from Sam 20,000, which was further endorsed to Nitin on 20th April. This I have received on 15th of April from Sam, but I have endorsed to Nitin on 20th of April. You have to be very careful about the dates. Interest debited by bank rupees 240. Received a check from Lal on account of rupees 29,000 and allowed him discount rupees 400. Lal check deposited into the bank on 28th. Bank returns a check received from Lal as dishonored. Okay, he did not make me a payment. Now this is the format of a double column cash book. On the debit side, I have date, particulars, ledger folio, cash and bank. Okay. Same on the credit side. First was cash in hand rupees 20,000 and bank overdraft rupees 10,000. It's clear, my cash is always on a debit side. It is always dancing. It cannot cry. That is the rule of the cash book. So my cash in hand balance brought down is 20,000 here. On the credit side, my bank will show 10,000. Why? Because it is an overdraft. The next transaction says further introduce rupees 50,000 as capital, out of which 35,000 was deposited into bank. My bank has increased. It is dancing. It is on the debit side. So 35,000 on the debit side. Okay. And it has come from the capital. The rest 15,000, that is 50,000, 50, which was introduced as capital, 35 is deposited into bank. So the rest is my cash. So cash is also dancing. It is an asset. Okay. So it is also on the debit side, 15,000. Why? Because of the capital introduced. The next one is received from Manohar on behalf of Ram, rupees 600. I have received cash 600 from Ram. On behalf of Manohar is a separate thing. But from where I have received? I have received it from Ram. I have received cash, so dancing, debit on the debit side, 600 rupees. Next entry is cashed a check for rupees 3000. Now here both cash and bank are involved. Of course, this is a contra entry. When both are involved, it is called contra entry. So we will write in ledger folio C. Now who is crying and who is dancing? It's very simple. We have taken cash from the bank. My cash will be dancing. It is an asset. It has walked in. Okay. And my bank will be crying. So my cash will be dancing. It will be on the debit side. So under cash, you will write 3000 immediately. Alright. And on the bank side, you will write 3000 also on the credit side. This is debit. This is credit. Cash is dancing. So 3000 will come under the cash column on the debit side. Bank is crying. 3000 will be bank column. 3000 crying. Credit side. Okay. Contra entry. Next step is if cash we have written 3000, from where it is coming? To bank. On the debit side, it is to bank. Here, crying, bank 3000. From why? Why it is crying? By cash 3000. Alright. This is how we, put the trick of that dancing and crying here. Next comes interest debited by bank rupees 240. The bank has charged us with an interest of rupees 240. My bank account will be crying because it is now reduced. So under the credit side, under the bank column, 240 will come. Why this 240? From where? Because of the interest. Next is received a check from Lal on account rupees 29,000 and allowed him discount rupees 400. Now discount rupees 400 will not be entered in the cash book because it is discount received, discount allowed, all comes as a journal entry. Okay, so we are now going to focus on the check which is of 29,000. It is received on 25th. But we have deposited this check into the bank on 28th. So 3 days we had it in our hand. Under the bank, it will be dancing. Okay, because we have received a check. Bank is increased. It is dancing. So on the debit side, under the bank column, 29,000 will come. But on 30th, bank returns a check received from Lal as dishonored. So it is returned. Now bank will be crying. It was expecting a payment of 29,000, but it has not received it. It will be crying on the credit side. Under the bank column, 29,000 will come. Now I will add up the cash column on the debit side, bank column on the debit side, cash column and bank column on the credit side. And this balance carried down will be my balancing figure after deducting this side and this side, this side and this side. On 15 April, it was said that we received a check from Sam and we endorsed it to Nitin on 20th April. Now, bank is not involved, cash is not involved, so nothing to be entered in the cash book. We will quickly make a journal entry of it. On 15th April, we will say we had check in hand to Sam account, 20,000, 20,000, because we have not endorsed it. We have endorsed it to Nitin on 20th April. So Nitin account will be dancing now. Nitin is a personal account. He's receiving. So he's dancing to check in hand. Because of the check that we had it here, we have now given it to Nitin here. 20,000, 20,000. On 25th of April, we have received a check from Lal, rupees 29,000 and allowed him a discount of rupees 400. Okay. And if you'll see further, it is written on 28th, we have deposited this check of Lal into the bank. So we had 3 days when the check was in our hand. So the entry will be on 25th, check in hand account debit, discount allowed account debit to Lal account. Discount allowed is a expense, nominal account, crazy account, works in opposite manner. It will start dancing. Discount allowed on debit side. From where? These two from Lal account. So 29,000 and 400 was the discount. Total is 29,400. Now on 30th, the check which we deposited on 28th was dishonored. That means whatever discount we gave him on 25th, we are going to cancel that. So for the cancellation, it will be a reverse entry. So here Lal was credit, here we will debit him. Discount allowed was debit, we will credit it. So Lal account debit to discount allowed account. 400, 400. This is only happening when there is a dishonor of the payment. That's it for the cash book chapter. In case something is not clear, just let me know in the comment box and I'll try my best to clarify. Thank you so much for watching this video. Namaste.